Hey everyone, I'm Jill and welcome to YesterKitchen. I want to start off by thanking you so much. Our channel is growing, the subscribers keep coming. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, just click that button below, or at the end of this video, you're going to see a little link and you'll be able to subscribe there too. But it means so much to me. I really want to thank you for your support. And if you can, click like on the videos, give me some comments. I have been reading and I have been replying and it's fun. So please keep going. And also pass this channel on to your friends. Let them know I exist. That's the toughest thing about this YouTube game, letting people know you exist. So if you could pass on the happiness, it would be awesome. So let's get started. So today, the word of the day is etymology. Not to be confused with entomology, which is the study of bugs, but etymology, which is the study of an origin of a word and how the meaning has changed throughout time. So today is a perfect example. Ready? Raise your hand if you think it's called Welsh Rarebit. Okay. Now raise your hand if you think it's called Welsh Rarebit. Okay. Now raise your hand if you don't know what it is. Yeah, I see you out there too. So we got 50. Yeah, I wasn't the best at math, but I am good at cooking, so stick with me. So Welsh Rarebit or Welsh Rarebit, what is it and what is it? Well, the dish is really melted cheese over bread. Welsh Rarebit has nothing to do with rabbit. In fact, it has no meat at all. Well, there are recipes that garnish it with bacon, and we're going to do that today, but the original melted cheese over bread, that's it, no rabbit. So where did rabbit come from and what the heck is a rarebit? Let's try to explain. Okay, so the origin of this dish is really unknown because it's so old, like super old. Like I'm pretty sure this is going to be the oldest recipe I'm going to show you. As a matter of fact, no one is even sure how far back it goes. But there's some guesses as to why it's called Welsh and why it's called rabbit. So let's start with Welsh. First of all, Welsh is another victim of etymology. It, of course, means someone from Wales or something from Wales. But at some point in time, Welsh was also given the meaning of something foreign, like anything. So someone could have come to another town and brought this dish, and that was foreign from another country and brought this dish. No one knows for sure. But the Welsh did love their cheese, so it very well could be from Wales. You can decide what sounds best to you. Also, what about this rabbit thing? Because there is no rabbit, well, there's some guesses that maybe there was a hunter that went out hunting for rabbit, and he was not very lucky that day, so he came home and had bread and cheese, but calling it rabbit made him feel better because it made him feel like it was more of a dinner. There were also stories about families that couldn't afford meat, so they would have the bread and cheese and they would call it rabbit, again, to make themselves feel better. There's just so many guesses that no one really knows for sure. But what about this name? Rabbit, rarebit, rabbit, rarebit? What to do? Well, the very first documented recipe was called Welsh. And that was in 1725. See, a long time ago. And this dish existed way before that. So we've got 1725 documented. The first time Welsh Rarebit was documented in a recipe was 1785. So, rarebit people, rabbit kind of has a leg up on you. Oh my God, that was funny. But you know, here's the thing. So many people call it rabbit. So many people call it rarebit. Call it what you want. All roads lead to this glorious mac and cheese. Mac and cheese? That's for another show. All roads lead to this glorious melted cheese over bread. I should do a mac and cheese show. I think I will. Anyway, and as far as rabbit containing no meat, I mean, that was pretty commonplace to call something that didn't contain the ingredient. There's Bombay duck. There's no duck in that. There's toad in a hole. You know, the little bread with a cutout center and you put the egg in, you cook it. There's no toad in that. There's not even a frog in that. But it's called toad in the hole and everybody knows what it is. So we call it Welsh Rarebit and everyone knows what that is. Now I will say there was some writing over time that kind of addressed it. In 1926, the Dictionary of Modern English Uses printed this about our friend Welsh Rarebit. Welsh Rarebit is amusing and right. Welsh Rarebit is stupid and wrong. Well, there you have it. But then again, in the Joy of Cooking book, they explained it by saying that it was called Welsh Rarebit because rabbit clearly meant something else. But since rabbit came first, there's schools of thought that like it just kind of morphed into rarebit because it sounded like rabbit. Maybe it sounded a little fancier and highfalutin, and the upper echelon might like it better with that better name, the rarebit instead of rabbit. In all reality, you pick what you like because it's still delicious and it's still awesome. And there's so many variations on this recipe, as you know, because it's so old. So we're gonna pick one. And I picked a great one for you. It is delicious, it's easy, and it comes from an amazing ghost restaurant. What do I mean by ghost restaurant? You're gonna find out more in this series, but I'm gonna start talking about restaurants that were the everything and that don't exist anymore. And they left a legacy of stories and recipes. And I'm gonna pick one today from a very well-known Hollywood restaurant. It was actually a chain. Unfortunately, they're all gone, but it was called the Brown Derby. And look here, check this out. This is my piece of gold. It is a cookbook from 1938, and it's just one of my absolute treasures. This is how I learn history. I read cookbooks. I get super, super old cookbooks, and I just baby them. I got it this way with the rips and everything, and I don't care because the inside is fabulous. And within these pages, I found an amazing, simple recipe for Welsh Rarebit, and yes, they called it Welsh Rarebit. So there you go. So let's get started, and then we'll tell you all about how to make it, and then you can make it at home. You can make it now, or you can save it till September the 3rd because that's National Welsh Rarebit Day. So let's get started. First thing you're gonna do is we're gonna take to our little pot. Here's our little pot. I'm gonna make a recipe that's gonna cover 3 pieces of bread. If you go a little lighter, it'll cover 4. If you want more, double the recipe. If you wanna feed the neighborhood, quadruple the recipe. But this is just super easy and super, super easy. And this is the first time I'm gonna use a cooktop, so I'm totally excited. We've got all kinds of new things today. So we're gonna take 1.5 cups of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. And in it goes into our pot. You can hand shred it from a block. You can buy a bag of pre-shredded. It doesn't matter. And then we're going to take 1/2 teaspoon of cornstarch. You get that in there. And that's going to be our thickening agent. And then what you want to do is you want to kind of I'm just trying to amuse you. And mix it all the way around because you want the shreds coated in the cornstarch. Then you're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of dry mustard. Now a little more cornstarch, a little more dry mustard. You don't have to be exact here, just about. So there goes the dry mustard. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to fluff it around and make sure that all this cheese is covered in this delicious brown mustard. Almost lastly, you're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of Worcestershire because that just gives it a certain something. And you're going to kind of get that around. The whole thing is every time you add something, you want to stir and kind of incorporate those flavors so when it starts to melt, which it will, oh God, it's going to be so good. And then we have 1/3 cup of beer. Now beer, it depends on your taste. I like to go lighter, and this is more of an ale. I think IPAs might be a little too strong and overpowering for the dish, but if you really, really want that pronounced beer flavor, go for it. You could do light, you could do dark. It's up to you. So in goes our beer. And that's gonna add that glorious hoppy flavor that we all know and love. Okay, now, I'm gonna pull our cooktop close and we're just gonna start melting it. And this is gonna go pretty fast because our cheese is shredded and you want your fire kind of high. And here it goes. I'm gonna turn mine up a tiny bit more. just so we're not stirring forever, because I've been thinking of some jokes to tell you while this is stirring and melting, and I really can't come up with any. But I will tell you that on September 3rd, I will be celebrating National Rabbit Day. Rarebit. See, it really doesn't matter. If you want to continue to say rarebit, say it. If you want to continue to say rabbit, say it. It's just all depends on whatever you like. Okay, so around now, it's just starting to heat up and it's just starting to melt. You want to take a little bit of salt. Like literally, here, I'll move my spoon so you can see. Literally, we're just putting in a little pinch because it already has some salt from the Worcestershire. And you just want a little bit of salt just to brighten it up. And now I'm starting to see steam come from it. Now we're starting to melt. This is exactly what we want. So you stir, stir, stir. And while I'm stirring, I'm going to multitask. And I'm going to move my board over. Not being very careful not to hit my martini. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to let this finish while I'm going to show you one perfectly toasted piece of white bread. You can also use wheat. Sourdough would probably be good, but if you want to go classic, you want to go beautiful toasted white bread. And look at that, our cheese sauce is almost just perfectly done. This is a knife and fork dish, so I brought both. Okay, so look at this. This is not fondue. It's not a super thick, it's definitely a cheese sauce. I'm gonna turn down my fire a little bit. See, I'm still playing with this and figuring out what's too hot and what works. So look at this. This is what you want. This is just perfect, rich, smooth, happy. Oh, look at that gorgeous thing, cheese sauce. That's it. So I'm gonna turn off my fire. And now, promised bacon earlier, I'm gonna take 2 slices of bacon. Whoa, this is not gonna help you out at all, is it? Let me move this over. I'm gonna take 2 perfectly cooked pieces of bacon. Mine are a little wide and fat because I like center cut bacon. But you can get whatever bacon you want, and you can leave off the bacon. This part is optional. The original dish, bread, cheese. So, we're gonna take our cheese, and we're just gonna pour a little bit. Oh God, look at that. It's like liquid gold, and it just makes me so happy. So we're gonna pour a little bit of our Welsh Rarebit, all over. You can spread it around, make it all happy. I think we need a tiny bit more, just for good luck. And then it's very traditionally garnished with 2 tomato slices. And that, let's give a proper serving. That is Welsh Rabbit. That is Welsh Rarebit. That is pure delicious. Another option is to put a fried egg on top, and that's called a golden buck. Or another option, if you want to make something called a blushing bunny, is when your cheese is mixing, add a half a can of condensed tomato soup. Unless you're doubling the recipe, then use the whole can. And that's a blushing bunny. I haven't tried it because I'm such a purist, but if you have, please tell me about it in the comments. I want to read about it, and if you convince me, I'll make it because I love new things. So this is Welsh Rabbit. This is Welsh Rarebit. It's really rabbit. I hope you have a great day. Go home and make this. Make it right now. It's like a perfect lunch dish. It's a perfect dinner dish. It's a perfect breakfast dish. I hope you enjoy the history, talk about the history, learn history through food. And thank you for coming to YesterKitchen. And remember, history never tasted so good